I'm certainly very pleased that I have a slide of the millennium, the UN development goals, because obviously there are more important people in this room. So I'm going to talk to you for the next 15 minutes ish about business ecosystem for change. And what I'm trying to do, what I want to do is really get you to think differently about the environment and the really important role that you have to play as business owners. Now that's it. Right. I'm getting this technology. So I can't see all of you, but I want you to think, what are the words come to your mind when you see this, when you've heard about it this last week? So how do you feel about the fact that this tree has been removed overnight? This iconic tree that
Absolutely
Robin.
heartbroken,
Angry.
Mindless.
Disappointed.
I think it's sad, but it's really amazing how you get so much media attention for one tree when actually they're ripping down, all of the stuff that's happening in this country about the environment is just so much more widespreading. As a sea swimmer that has to deal with the fact that South West Water puts shit in the water all the time, I'm sad about the tree, but actually we need a joined up approach.
Yeah, it's a bit of a distraction to everything else that's going on.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you think about this? So in Sheffield and Plymouth, it was actually the council that removed these trees overnight. So what do you think about this?
Well, I'm in Devon, so I heard all about this, and it was just outrageous that they did. And then the guy, I think the people who was responsible managed to resign and kind of said, "Oh, sorry," and kind of went, and you kind of went, actually, that's not good enough.
No, not good enough.
So if I told you that this is happening all over the world, and what I want you to do is to think about what the difference is between a single tree and trees, between one person that we call when somebody takes down that tree and we call it vandalism, and when the council removes trees and removes vegetation, it's not called vandalism, but maybe we need to think about it. And then I've got another example coming up in my presentation that I want you also to think about. So I want to start really by saying that global warming is already happening. You're obvious your comments already that you are very aware of it. And we're sort of getting into the swing of it, aren't we, where our seasons are significantly changing, and it isn't just here, it is all over the world. So wherever you are, your seasons will have changed, your weather patterns will have changed. And here in the UK, we like to talk about our weather, and we like to say, so what's the weather like? Actually, more and more, you cannot predict weather patterns from one day to the next, 1 month to the next. So in Europe, we've been seeing huge temperatures over the summer. In Europe and in Canada, we've had huge fires, not only in the peatland, but also in our forests, and forests even as far north as the tundra. And this is unheard of in human planetary history. But here in the UK, our weather has been very different, and I won't go into that, but the differentiation between different climatic changes is significant. And I haven't touched upon the implications of that. So I haven't touched upon sea level rise and the implications to biodiversity. So our planet is facing and we're on this planet together, is facing three very important challenges. So I've mainly talked about the climate emergency, but also we're in a state of an ecological emergency. And both the climate emergency and the ecological emergency, we have done this for ourselves. Over generations of people that have lived on this planet, we have overused the natural resource on this planet, to the detriment of our future livability on it. And in addition to those crises, we've also got the health crises. So this is not just physical health, but mental health and well-being. And for us at the Earth Trust, it's these 3 parallel marathons that we're on at the moment, although at the moment we're probably feeling that we're moving from a marathon to a sprint, because all of the things that we need to do, the targets and the where we need to get to in 10 and 20, 30 years time so that our livability on this planet succeeds, is getting closer. Those targets are very close. But you can see from the end of my marathon running track, my sprint running track, that all the things that need to happen are dependent on people. They're dependent on policymakers, decision makers. They're dependent on you and I, business owners like yourselves. But what I want to reiterate is that a sustainable business approach has never been more important. Now, this is not just about one particular country, but I want to illustrate how the global biodiversity framework and the global commitments to climate have actually been translated into local targets and local action. So I'm not going to go through this slide, but what you can see is that the global biodiversity framework has been translated here in the UK into a 25-year environment plan and an improvement plan, and that's been translated into the Environment Act. So these global goals that we need to achieve by 2050 to succeed and thrive on this planet have been converted into law. They've been converted into the Environment Act. I'm not saying it's perfect, but we do have these laws in the UK. And one of the things that sets apart from other countries is that we have been very ambitious, because we know as a country, but also as a planet, we need to be very ambitious. And similarly, we have translated the COP26 climate goals into UK government pledges. And everybody that signed up, all the countries that have been signed up to the UK, to the COP26, have translated or are in the process of translating those key goals into pledges. And you can see that I want you just to look very quickly at some of these target dates. So we've got a lot to achieve by 2050. But climate science is talking, and I'm not a climate scientist, but I can read and understand the climate science. And what it's saying is that we need to be well on the journey to 2050 within 5 years' time, within 10 years' time, within 15 years' time. So it's really important that we maintain the 2030 targets, even though we might think it's not that far away. We need to maintain the eyes on the prize in terms of targets. Earth Trust is responding because we recognise these challenges. So we are a provider of green space, and we're a demonstrator of how people need to connect with the environment, and through that better connection with the environment, really understand what they can do about it. So for us, people are at the heart of the change that needs to be created over the next few years. And I won't go through this slide, but you can see that we need, as an organisation, to be bolder, because the environment needs to be bolder. And I hope that those of you who have come across us before, you can see that trajectory of our passion and our voice. And hope what we're trying to do is to influence. We're trying to influence guys like yourself, but we're also trying to influence so that communities come together and really make a difference for the environment. And where we can network with other organisations that are working nationally, we do. So I just want to spend a few minutes looking at this, because this slide really depicts all the things that you can, as business owners, you can look at and think about in terms of your business and how you can make change happen. I will come on and talk about government here in the UK and some of the challenges that we're having at the moment. But regardless of what the government is saying, it's really important that you think about your business and what you can do to make this world a better place for all. And I sort of split this slide so you can begin to think about the resources you use as you go about your business, the energy you use, the water you use, where you source your food from, the journey that the food has taken to sustain your business, and particularly around the rocks, minerals, the natural resources that you're using. Water is already a limiting factor here in the UK, along with other countries in the world. And when we talk about growth and development and more homes potentially, water is actually going to be the limiting factor. It's going to be it's already the limiting factor for our livability here in the UK, but we don't often talk about it. Another thing to bear in mind with your business is the connectivity of your business with the natural world, whether it's plants that you've got and your internal surroundings, or whether it's your external surroundings. The connection you have of your business with the natural world, and how you talk about the natural world, and how you engage with the natural world, and how your customers engage with that connectivity is really important, because you can be strong leaders in all these fields, whatever you're doing. So think about how you communicate about about how close those green spaces are within your business, and how you communicate about the green infrastructure, which is vitally important, as well as air, as well as water. There's loads of stats at the moment about how our values as a society are changing. And our values we're beginning to recognize the importance of the environment for us and for our children and for our grandchildren. And there are increasingly customers who will be drawn to your business and will support your business because of what you say and do for the environment. Increasingly, the environment is becoming a bit of a differentiator, a positive differentiator. I'll come and talk in a minute about how it can be used negatively, but positively, it can really set you apart from other businesses. And there are a few things that have happened in the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks here in the UK, which actually go against those UN ambitions and the ambitions of our planetary leaders. And I'm not going to go into huge detail, but the first one, by postponing our biodiversity net gain proposals here in the UK, even by 3 or 4 months, although we don't have a clear delivery time yet for them, we are impacting nature, and nature is one of those areas. Nature and biodiversity is being depleted day in, day out. We have changed, or are about to change, our policies around greenhouse gas emissions. So by shifting the deadlines from 2030, which is what we all signed up to, which is what is embedded in law in the UK, by shifting them to 2035, we might be thinking it's only 5 years. In climate science, that will have a major impact. And if that changes, we are unlikely to hit the 2050 targets. And the current government won't be in power when the implications of that decision are being felt by us all. It will be our children and our grandchildren. And that is it's so important to understand climate science and the implications of this very short-term decision that is being made at the moment. And then we are doing really silly things. So we're talking about, and we've got a plan to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels. And yet a recent decision here in the UK is that we are going to be opening up a new untapped oil field in Rosebank off Shetland. This is such a ridiculous change of plan here in the UK. And it can only mean that we will not be achieving the targets we need to. So just to remind you, we need to prosper on this planet together. We've got a huge mental health crisis. We have significant lack of access to green space. So a third of us don't have access to good quality green space within 15 minutes of home. And we've got widening inequality gaps. And all these things, please be aware of when you are thinking about and running your business. Very quickly, because I know we're running out of time, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what the Earth Trust is doing. So we are thinking really differently about the partnerships and what we need to do. Here on the banks of the River Thames, we've created a significant new wetland, which is exploring different ecosystems for change and thinking about and working on water and how we store water and how we lock up carbon. Here at the Earth Trust Centre in Little Whitnam, we are building buildings using materials and using new to market materials and designing for the future. So this is our vision into the future through a building itself. This slide talks to you about the fact that if your business builds people and nature into it, it can only thrive because customers are changing what they want. Smart businesses will recognize these big issues. They'll recognize where their business sits in the wider business ecosystem and wider business network. They take responsibility for their own actions. They want to be part of the problem and they don't want to be part of the problem. They're reducing being part of the problem, but they do want to be part of the solution. Even small changes will have a big impact. And I want to stress how important you are and your leadership is in this area. I've explained to you how political forces can work against the big challenges that we face. It is really important that we take control as a society, and every business and every individual makes a difference. There's lots that we can offer as a trust, but I wanted to re-emphasize and close today by saying that you can be a leader in this field. You can be part of making change happen. We have lots of different ways at the Earth Trust that we can support you. We can help you on your journey. So do reach out if I can and my team can be of any help, either demonstrating, just talking stuff through, or doing something more tangible. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jayne. I am just going to remove the spotlight and stop recording.